I'm tired. I'm tired all the time. I think I'm slightly burnt out from like just school and uni work, but like it's okay. I think we just need a break. I mean, we had one during quarantine, but I think it didn't feel much like a break at the time. But well, I was at uni last year, and I was at a different uni. I was at York, and I was doing a different course, and then I changed my course. But I think LSE is a lot harder. There's a lot of work. It's a much heavier workload, and I'm doing law, so the content is quite technical. So it wasn't exactly what I expected, but it wasn't a bad thing. Like, I like the intensity, and I like the contact hours, and I really like the professors and the people. But it is different. I think uni's always different from how you expect it.
Would you say you're tired physically or mentally?
Mentally. I think physically, not that much because we don't leave. But like mentally, I think being inside is in the same space, and then the work and just the knock-on effect, the cumulative effect is mentally draining.
It's been interesting with lockdown, but life hasn't changed too much for me on campus, so that's been pretty good. Every evening, me and my friends, we do like tea together, and that's really lovely, so that kind of helps me out. But yeah, so I think that if I keep that going, I'll be okay.
I feel like I'm a bit sad because I'm first year here, and a lot of people have been telling me that the first year is supposed to be the best year of your whole degree. But I feel like me and my friends are just missing out on a lot, like clubbing or sports, activities and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think I'm definitely handling everything with the pandemic a little bit better than some people. But it's not easy, you know. But generally, I think I'm okay. It's not as hard as I expected, but it's hard in different ways, I think. Not in what I expected, and it's not as extreme as what I expected, but it's bearable for sure.
I'm fine, actually. I'm really happy coming into LSE and everything, experiencing new stuff. Yeah, I'm quite happy. With like even in lockdown in London, there's so much things to do compared to where I'm coming. I'm from Turkey originally, so like it's still fun. There's still, I think, a lot to do here, so it's not a big problem for me.
How am I doing? Really? I mean, I've adjusted. When I first started this whole hybrid system of part online, part not online, a lot at home type situation regarding university, it took me some time to adjust. Gym's closed, you know, I couldn't go outside, I couldn't meet some friends, but I think I've pulled through. I've got like a schedule, I do some self-care, you know, every now and again. I think I've adjusted well. For me, balance is a very important thing, trying to strike the balance between, you know, work and play and friendships and, you know, professional relationships. And yeah, so I think I've managed to strike that balance. Trial and error though, trial and error.
I could be better. All of my family in the States have COVID right now. So that's a lot to deal with being overseas and just feeling like you have no control over it, but still knowing that it's going on. And school is obviously just at like a point of being like very overwhelming, but we're almost done with the term, so that's good. It's really hard to tell if it was just the lockdown that impacted mental health or like so many other components going on just at the same time that made it feel so much worse. But I think if I had just dealt with those other things, like the US election, my family having COVID, and it wasn't lockdown, it would have been a lot better to deal with those other things. So I think lockdown made those a lot worse to deal with because I was just like in my room having to deal with that all the time or just doing uni work. So I guess, yeah, lockdown was worse than I thought it would be just because of other things that got thrown in my life at the same time. So I'm thankful for having like flatmates for interaction right now. Otherwise, I think it would be really hard to find a balance and not just completely like dive into your schoolwork all the time. So I think I'm trying my best. I think that's all we can do right now.
I think I've been well. This is my first year at university, so it's definitely like a different transition, and it's something that I wasn't exactly prepared for, I think. I just finished a gap year, that was definitely something challenging, particularly now with COVID. But thankfully I do have a really strong support system with my family. But it's been rocky, it's roller coasters.
I kind of came here with the expectation that, for example, the Freshers Week is going to be so long, so engaging, a lot of things to do. But turned out that we had to self-isolate, and I spent a month in quarantine, and it's only November. So it's definitely not kind of what I expected.
I mean, my mood is pretty good. I think I'm going through things like everybody else right now. I'm not disappointed. I'm a bit sad that some of the societies and events that are going on aren't happening, but I just accept it like it's nobody's fault.
It comes in waves. I'm just working through all of the workload, seeing friends and stuff like that, so keeping positive. I think if I manage to get a lot done at the start of the week, then it'll be all right and the rest of the week's fine, but it can pile up and then it gets quite overwhelming, but yeah. I think I'm having quite a normal life, I think, being able to see friends and also just working with other people, not just staying at home doing the work by myself, but managing to see other people and socialise at the same time. It makes it a lot manageable.
I think I'm doing okay. There are things that I feel I'm on top of. There are things that I feel I'm not coping well with, but in the long run I feel I've found my method to try and keep going forward throughout this lockdown and throughout this pandemic. Obviously it's not easy. There are points where I do feel slightly overwhelmed or stressed, but I think I do have a support network I can reach out to and processes I can use to help try and cope with everything that's going on. Not only do I have to cope with moving into a lockdown, but I also have to take into account that I have a disability that greatly impacts the way I have to learn. So I've had to learn an entirely new way of studying to move forward and to get the grades I need. So in terms of uni life, I feel, in terms of studying, I say yeah, it is significantly harder. In terms of maybe personal social life, I think right now it isn't possible to have an in-person social life because we are all locked down in different areas around the city, so it's impossible for people to see each other. If I were to be honest, I would say that I have never really found that balance. I've always just gone with how I felt and worked with that and moved forward. Uni life, whilst it is rewarding in the long run, has been challenging, and my personal life has also faced challenges that I've needed to resolve. But I think in the scheme of coping with this pandemic, I feel that I have found my way around getting enough of a balance to be able to move forward.
I'm good. I'm enjoying uni, so that helps, and seeing my friends in my bubble, in my household, which is nice. But yeah, in general, good. When I was in actual lockdown for 2 weeks, that was a bit hard, but now that I'm allowed to go outside, allowed to be on campus, it's much better. I think obviously everyone's a bit disappointed because we've been looking forward to, expectations of uni, but COVID changed that. But there's nothing that we can do about that, so yeah.
I'm doing okay, yeah. I think it's been a pretty unusual year, but I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to come in and have classes on campus and meet different people in person, and even being able to use facilities feels like quite a luxury. So if anything, I think I've managed to focus more on my university studies, almost because it provides a sort of distraction from everything else that's happening in the world right now. But yeah, I think that's probably it. Trying to separate the two has been easier because we've been able to come in and study on campus instead of study at home. So I was quite fortunate to have a good support bubble of friends and family around me, which meant that they could sort of help me through some of the more difficult times that I dealt with. So yeah, I think this time around especially has been a bit more manageable, but in general it's been a very, very unusual and difficult and stressful year to adapt to and deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. It's been 8 weeks into term, so it's kind of downhill like lately, so I'm like 2 weeks behind on everything. Lockdown, it's quite boring. But I mean, we've got 2 weeks till lockdown ends, and that should be fun.
So far, so good. I think it's my happiest time, like to come to London and finish my study here. Yeah, I think it's very good. Our flat is more like a party flat, and my flatmates will always invite somebody to come to our kitchen, and we kind of have some party. And I also make new friends here, so actually I'm socially doing well here. And also with my studies, I think study is the most struggling part for me because so many tasks to do, but so far I can still try to handle them. So yeah.
How am I doing? I'm okay. At first I was like, in my mind I was just all over the place. I was very stressed, kind of overwhelmed, but I'm okay now. I've somehow found a balance, don't know how, but I would say it's taken a lot for me to try and find what I should do to kind of create a balance between the two. It's difficult though. I would say I'm a homebody, so like staying at home wasn't too terrible, but not having the option of seeing friends, and that can mentally just affect you incredibly. And that I think was something that I recognized, that even though I like being at home, I enjoy my own company, like not being able to see people and for like 6 months straight did really affect me actually, yeah, mentally.